What's going on, everybody? Coming with another video. Going to be here talking about some pretty interesting topics. You got two old men here. Some of us are older than the other.
Some
I
are
won't
older than
point any.
others, that's for sure.
I won't point fingers. I have some gray in my beard, but no, we're going to be talking about some stuff that, I mean, truthfully, it affects all of us, but especially as we're getting older, this is things that we should start to really be more aware of. Because, I mean, some of us, we just don't make the best decisions in our earlier life. And here we are kind of dealing with some of the consequences, trying to make sure things don't fall apart too fast. And I'm just trying to have still a good, healthy, active life as we get older. So I have with me a buddy of mine, man. I'm not even sure how long ago I met you. Um,
Oh, it's been 5 or 6 years now, at least.
yeah, it was at Temple though?
Yeah, I think it
Did
was
you go
when
to,
Temple was still on 90, I believe, is when I first met
yeah,
you.
okay, because you didn't ever go to Riviera there on 85, right?
When I first moved here in 2011, I did briefly because I didn't know any better. And yeah, after you get locked into that contract, they want your left arm to get out of it. Yeah, as soon as my
Yeah.
2 years was up, I moved on. But
Yep.
yeah, but not in the recent past. I haven't been to Riviera. No.
Okay, so yeah, we ended up meeting, and that had to have been for me about 2018, because that's when my contract at Riviera ended, and I was like, I gotta go. Ended up at
Yeah,
Temple while it was there on 90. Okay, so man,
yeah, that's when I'm
it's been
thinking
about
around that time frame, right?
okay, cool. So yeah, got Greg Smith here. Met him because he was at the time training. I remember one of your clients, Natasha, and you were just wearing her out, was trying to get her ready for a show. Um,
She was wearing
but
me out too.
yeah, I watched and I got to eat popcorn because I was close enough to watch it, but far enough away where I could be like, ah, it's not my problem.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it was funny because both of you would come to me and be like, oh man, yo, she acting up, and then she'd be like, why is he doing this to me? I, I was entertained, so I do want to thank you for that. But I'm gonna give you a second. Go ahead and introduce yourself, kind of where you came from, your background, education, everything like that.
Okay. Yeah, as Chris said, my name is Greg Smith. I'm 55 years old. Kind of hard to realize that I'm actually 55 years old when I say that. Been kind of into fitness most of my life. Uh, got serious about it in 2000. Well, when I was going to college, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do because you're in the military, they're always poking, get that education, get that education. So I decided if I was going to get my education, to get it something that I was very interested in. And fitness is the only thing I could come up with that it really piqued my interest and I wanted to learn more about. So I ended up getting my undergraduate in exercise science, and then moved on and I got my master's in not exercise, but wellness and fitness. I've been personal training on and off for probably 25 to 30 years. Just really enjoyed helping people, and the knowledge I gained really helps me in my own personal, develop my programs for myself. And I don't really actively do personal training anymore, but I still have people that know who I am and know my background, is constantly asking me questions. And I really love helping people, because like you were saying in the beginning, fitness is one thing that we can really do to help us as we age to keep our quality of life. And you and I have talked about it before, about just the medications that the doctors want to give out. And my personal opinion, a lot of times the medication is not needed if you would just exercise to keep yourself fit and do away with the walkers and all that stuff as you get older. It hurts me to my core to see older people that can't hardly get around, and all it would take is a little bit. When I say a little bit, I mean a little bit of physical training on their part, and their life could be so much better.
Absolutely. Prevention is still the best medication. And unfortunately, there's no money in that though, or not much money. So it's not pushed nearly as much. We say, go live your life and live your best life. And somehow that gets translated into just eat all the food you want, sit on the couch, watch all the Netflix,
Right.
get out of
Right.
shape.
Well,
And
unfortunately,
even for,
our way of life is not conducive to staying fit. I mean, what I mean by that, all the automation we have, because you think about it, you can literally, other than getting up and going to the bathroom, you can literally live your life sitting in your recliner in your house. You have DoorDash, you have grocery delivery services now. So, and you have telework. So you
Yep.
literally could, other than going to the bathroom, you can sit in your recliner or on your couch all day long and not have to move for anything. And unfortunately, the only exercise some people get, I truly believe, is when they walk from their house to their car, from their car to their office, from their office to their car, from their car back into their house. And that's the only exercise they get, all
That's
day
it.
long.
That's
You
it.
know,
I've
it's
got some of my clients and I have them track their daily step count. But it syncs up with the app that I have. And I'll see somebody's step counts for the day, less than 1,000. And I
wow.
see that and I'm impressed because that takes effort to be that low. Like
To
there's
be
a
that inactive.
conscious, yeah,
Right.
like did you not go to the bathroom? Like there's a part where I'm wondering, did you get up?
Did you move
Did,
all day long? Right.
are there bottles next to you that you need to throw away? Like, come on, bro. But this is definitely a topic, man. That topic about the lack of movement, we could go on about that one.
Right.
I'm with you on that. So what is it that you do currently for fitness? I know that you said you're 55. I know what you're doing, but where you're at, tell everybody what you currently do.
Currently, believe it or not, at my advanced age, I'm still an active motocross rider. It's something I've done on and off all my life. So a lot of my training is still revolved around staying in shape for that. As you
Yep.
know, I was into bodybuilding there for a while. I don't do that anymore. I've totally changed my direction of how I work out. Now, my priority is high intensity cardio, followed up by strength training. I don't really try to build muscle anymore. I just try to maintain, really focus on my muscular endurance,
Mm,
core strength, and cardio. I've been
yeah.
really reading up a lot on zone two training.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever read much on it, but it's for me, it's where you maintain about 60 to 70% of your max heart rate for up to an hour. And I've been
Hmm.
watching some videos on YouTube just to kind of see what's going on. And they had, I forget what the girl's name was, but she was an elite cyclist. She's from England. And she did nothing but zone two training. I don't think she ever
Hmm.
got her heart rate over 135 beats per minute for like 3 months. And she had blood work done and the VO2 test and all that. And it amazed me how much she improved. And
Hmm.
she even stated in the video that she didn't feel like personally she was making any progress because at 130, 135, you don't really feel like you're barely breaking a sweat. So I've been really studying up on that lately and trying to apply it to myself. It's hard though because you don't really feel like you're working, so you don't really think you're
Yep.
getting the benefit out of it. But science says different.
Yeah. And especially coming from like the bodybuilding arena where the mantra is go hard. Like
Yeah,
everything about the current bodybuilding culture, and it is changing a little bit now based on science, but it's still that just go in the gym, lift as heavy as you can, as many reps as you can, as many sets as you can, go home, get some sleep, drink some protein, wake up, do it all over
but
again,
again, yeah,
break yourself off. And if you're not broken, you just aren't training hard enough. And so, like, I imagine that crossover, and then same thing even with military, coming from that lifestyle, go hard, get the work done. So, all of this stuff that says, hey, break yourself off. And then you go into, okay, I'm just going to sustain and stay in this zone. And zone two being it's just above like your resting heart rate, but it's
yeah,
still a higher heart rate compared to, like you said, that 130, a heart rate where your heart is going to jump out of your chest at some point. But in zone two, you're like, I know I'm doing something, but I don't feel it.
yeah. Well, I did the first time I did it. I was only started it recently. The first time I did it, I was on the elliptical at Temple, and I was trying to go for an hour. I got bored. I wasn't
Hmm.
tired. I got tired of being on the
Yeah,
elliptical more than I did, tired from working out. So,
yeah,
but I'm gonna try. I mean, they just like I said, they took blood work and did all that and did the VO2 max test, and she improved on every level, and I was
yeah,
amazed. And I'm gonna
yeah.
keep researching a little bit. But I mean, I wish I remembered her name, but like I said, she was an elite cyclist. So I'm sure her cardio was already insane. If she can improve like that, there's absolutely
Yeah.
no reason I shouldn't see some benefits from it as well.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see how that progress goes with you. Um, and so with your training, comes the eating and having to be mindful of what you're eating. But what are your guilty pleasures? Like if there's a cheat meal involved, if there's like, it's screw today, I'm sick of chicken breast and asparagus, that
Yeah.
traditional bodybuilding plan. Like what are you going to? What's your go-to?
My downfall is sweets. And right now I've been on a Nutter Butter and low carb monster kick.
Ooh, low
Yeah.
carb monster. Okay. I was with you on the Nutter Butter. Those things are dangerous. Like it's like sweet enough, but it's not so sweet that you feel like, oh man, I can't take any more of it. It's not like that rich, like,
Yeah.
well, this is
But
too
hey,
much.
it's natural. It's all natural peanut butter, right?
Yeah,
So it can't be too bad for me.
it's all natural. I saw it on the
But
packaging.
my problem is I have to be mindful of it because I burn up so many calories because
Hmm.
the cardio I do. So I can pretty much eat anything I want to and stay because I'm not bodybuilding. I'm not trying to get on
Yeah.
stage half naked and asked to be judged. So I don't have to, maintain that low body fat. So it's a battle for me to eat like I need to.
Hmm.
So I'm not as strict with my diet as I was when I was bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Because I know now with the cardio I do, if I don't keep my calories up, if I don't get about
Oh
2,500
yeah.
calories a day, I start losing weight, and I'm about a buck 80, and I don't want to lose any more weight.
Yeah. Yeah. And that even just that, like it shows like spend the time, get in that healthy range, and then as long as you stay active, it's impressive what the body actually can tolerate. Like you can
Yeah.
still enjoy life, still enjoy foods. It's just you don't need to go overboard. Like you don't need to eat a whole package of Nutter Butters in one
Don't
sitting.
you mean you can stop? I
No,
didn't know you
just
could
you need
stop it though
three
if it's not
quarters.
gone.
3/4. That's where you got
Three
to draw the
quarters.
line. Like that's where it's not
Gotcha.
too much. All right. But yeah, no, I love those things. My stepdad used to get those a lot. And it annoyed me because I was like, as a kid, I'm like, those things aren't that good. And I started eating them. I was like, they're not that good, man. I don't get it. Next thing I know, a row is gone. I'm like, you know what?
Okay.
I got it. I see what you just did
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then last question about your personal life. If you were had the chance to go back in time, we'll say 15 years ish, what is it that you think that you would do differently based off of what you know now with your fitness?
Well, it took me a while to really think about this question. I'm going to go back past 15 years, if that's okay.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of people might can relate to this. If I could go back to my teen years, I wish the amount of information that's out there now for training was available back then. You got your
Wow.
YouTube, you got, Google, you've got so many avenues that you can get, information from. Unfortunately, back in my day, there was no cell phones, no internet, no
Yeah.
personal computers and all that. But I really wish I could go back and make myself start training at an earlier age. And I would really focus on wrestling and gymnastics. Coming from a
Mm.
small, town in Alabama, I always steered clear of gymnastics and stuff because that was what the sissies did, and
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately, that's the way we looked at it. And that could be so far from the truth because I know in your Green Beret career, I'm sure you did jiu-jitsu and, close quarters combat. And I'm telling you, I did some dabbled in MMA for a while. And when I locked up with somebody with a background in wrestling, I don't
Oh,
mean
you
just
knew
on
it.
the ground. You could immediately tell just their core strength,
Yeah.
just the way they moved. And gymnastics are the same people. If you ever look at a gymnast, how jacked they are, and most of them don't
It's
even really
massive.
lift heavy weights, and their core strength is just off the charts. It is
Yeah.
unbelievable how strong they are. And that carries over. If you stay somewhat active, that carries over almost your lifetime.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because I just look back now, and I'm not going to sit here and make it everybody. I'd have made it to the pros if I hadn't blown out my knee, playing football. But
Yeah.
I was an above average athlete, coming up.
Hmm.
And if I would have known what I know now about the training and stood out, drinking beer and chasing women and all that, trying to be one of the cool kids, if I would have had my ass in the gym training like I should have been, there's a very good chance that I could have earned a scholarship to a lower tier college somewhere. And that
Yeah.
always bothers me. Even at my age now, I still look back and that really, really bothers me because I don't think I did everything I could to better myself.
Yeah.
And it's really helped me now because matter of fact, I just made a corny post on Facebook because you know how bad I sweat when I work out. So I took a picture of the stair machine I was on at the gym, and I said, my competition may have more talent than me, but they will not outwork me. And that's the kind of mentality I have today. And I just to reiterate what I was saying, I just really wish I could go back and have the knowledge I know now and start training at an early age because I think it's a lot of carryover even as you get older.
Yeah. I completely agree. Like strength training just through my life. Because even when I was younger, yeah, I played basketball, and even there is a definite requirement for strength training, even in basketball, that
Oh
it
yeah,
wasn't emphasized nearly enough. And like I was a kid, I could run all day. I could play the entire game and then go and leave and play somewhere else. Like you
right.
couldn't out cardio me. But the strength wasn't there. I was a long, lanky kid, and I know that with just like a little bit extra strength, like my play style would have improved a lot. And so
Yeah.
I'm definitely with you. And that carryover is massive just across life. Just even at home, just doing things around the house. Just
Oh yeah,
maintaining that strength. Hey,
for sure.
you know, I'm confident that I will hit 60 and still not, assuming any freak accident, I'll be able to open, jars of pickle and pick up,
Oh yeah,
my
no doubt.
Amazon
Yeah.
package and bring it into the house and not
Yes.
need to call somebody. And we conflate strength training to high level strength training. Like I've got a deadlift 600. No, no, no. I need to be able to body weight squat with ease so I can make sure that, again, like I said, 60, 70 years old, when I go to sit down on a toilet first thing in the morning, that I
Can
don't
you get
need
up
a
by
handrail.
yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, I will wholeheartedly agree with that. Man, appreciate that one. So let's go ahead and get into the meat of what we're doing. Like I said, this is the, as you're getting older type of group, and so we're going to start with what do you see is the, top 2 or 3 common mistakes, or maybe not even mistakes, but things that people could improve on, that older people are, maybe not doing that they should
Right.
start doing.
That's a good segue that you just used talking about as you get older and being able to get off the toilet. So I'll get into that in a second. But number one, thinking you're too old to start. I hate
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And when I know hate is a strong word, but I absolutely hate to hear anybody say I'm too old to do blank. I hate
Mhm.
that. I'm like, and I ask them, my smart ass is like, well, show me the manual. What
Yeah,
page is that on? Well, where does it
yeah.
say that? And obviously, like I always say, I want to learn how to skateboard. And everybody, what the hell are you doing skateboarding at 55? It's just something I've always done. I know I'll never be a professional skateboarder, but I would
Yeah.
just like to learn to, I can't even stand on one. I would love to learn how to stand on one and just do some basic tricks, and I've heard people say that before. It's like, well, you're too old for that. I'm like, that skateboard don't know how old I am. I'm like,
Exactly.
that will be fine. Uh, Number two is not educating themselves and starting out um, just too hard and then end up hurting themselves or they're so sore they don't want to do it anymore. They make themselves
Mm,
miserable. And like the New Year's resolutions, I hate New
yeah,
Year's
that's what I was
resolutions, but
thinking.
I'll get into that because okay, you have somebody that's they don't work out, they eat like crap, and they smoke, and they have a bad habit they want to stop. So come New Year, I'm gonna start working out. I'm gonna lift weights. I'm gonna do cardio. I'm gonna start eating right. I'm gonna stop smoking. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And they don't last long because I think they get overwhelmed. Instead of like easing into it, they just try to do everything at one time and they're freaking miserable. And then and willpower it's only going to last for so long, and they're
Oh
going to say
man, yeah.
screw it, and they just fall off, and next thing you know, they just quit everything, and they're right back to where they started.
By the
So
time
my
March
advice is
comes.
to, number one, educate yourself. Whether you talk to, you hire a personal trainer, understand that's not in everybody's budget. I get that. YouTube is free. There's a lot of videos out there. Google is free. For God's sake, if you don't know what you're doing, don't go to the gym and try to mimic what somebody else is doing.
Oh
Go
man.
watch some videos, ask somebody, and do it that way. Educate yourself before you ever set foot in that gym, because I'm assuming if people are overweight or never been to the gym before, they're going to be intimidated kind of when they go in the gym. But if you educate yourself just a little bit, it'll take some of that intimidation factor away. And number
Absolutely.
three would just be let me refer to my notes.
While he's looking through his notes, let me take this opportunity to invite you to my free Facebook group. This group is available as a judgment-free area for you to ask questions, get the help that you need, and hopefully get you to your goals a little bit quicker. I present science-based information that is easy for you to apply to your everyday life. Also, if you're finding this information in the video helpful, hit the subscribe button to help the channel to grow. Hope to see you in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
And
And
like
one,
the segue
but
about what you were saying before, I'm glad you said that, and is high or training too high of expectations.
mhm.
Like you don't have to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to be training to be like to improve your cardio from into like high intensity motocross like I do. When we're talking about fitness as you age, just keeping yourself so you're independent, so you can get up out of your chair, so you can get up out of the toilet, so you can climb a flight of stairs and not be winded, so you can carry the groceries in. Just stuff like that is, I mean, if you want to take it more than that, that's fine. But my thing is, go to the gym, challenge yourself just a little bit. You don't have to, go in there and try to bench press 400 pounds. Do what you can do and slowly build on that. And if just being a little bit fitter is all you want, that's fine. You've done yourself a justice by doing that. You've improved your quality of life long term, just by going and doing a little bit.
I like those points. The high expectations is really important because, I mean, even if you consider um, like a substance abuse program to wean somebody off, there are steps to this program to get you off. It's not just go cold turkey. That's
Right.
a process, but it does not work for a majority of people. This is a lifestyle change. Same thing with fitness and health. You have habits that have caused you to be wherever you're at, and that's okay. If you are making a decision to improve, all right, let's start with what decisions one are you willing to make? What decisions are you what are maybe easy little low hanging fruits where you can find some success there? What are some of the changes where you can see the most benefit? If you've got the time to maybe, spend 20 minutes walking per day around your neighborhood, and that's what you start with, oh, that's a good place to start.
That's so you
Because
started. You did something. You went from doing nothing to doing something, and that's
and
the
that adds
important part.
up.
It
That
does.
adds
It
up
does.
big time.
Yeah.
That 20 minutes of walk, if you just 20 minutes of walking, that's 5 days a week. That's 100 minutes of walking that you now have towards your weekly activity. You're ahead of where you were. a
Yep.
hundred minutes ahead of where you were already, and that distance is going to add up. And then when you start to seeing some results, man, progress is addictive. You know,
Progress
you
is
you
a
will
huge motivator. A huge
you will
motivator,
figure a
no doubt.
way out to be like, oh man, all I did was walk, and I lost a couple of pounds, or maybe I wake up and I got more energy, or I can play with the kids or whatever. I wonder what happens if maybe what if I walk, a little bit further, or what it happens if I get a gym membership, or what if I start educating myself, like you said, and getting a little bit more comfortable with this. Oh, progress is addictive.
It is,
I
no
stand
doubt.
by that. I like how you were saying, when you had started out, there wasn't, the internet and YouTube. And I thought about that too. And I was like, I realized I'm older than the internet, you know.
Yeah.
I'm older than the internet, something that is a huge part of the world, just everyday culture, and I'm older than it. And I remember, not having a cell phone or not having access to this and having to ride my bike down to the library to go look up some stuff for a report.
Yeah.
So
Research something.
yeah, so being able to go into the gym and knowing what to do, that man, I know I look like an idiot. If there were cell phones back there, there would have been videos going viral about me doing something stupid, but thankfully there wasn't. But
Yeah. Let's.
oh man, and it's like I wonder what if if I had access to the internet, oh man, what would have happened? But yeah, I'm
Yeah, but at the
definitely
same
with you
time, I
on the
mean, I'm
education.
glad there wasn't social media and all that back when I was coming up, because I did some
Yeah,
stupid stuff. But just with a mindset like ours, though, think about how much better we could have been.
yeah,
I mean, I don't
yeah.
want to use that as an alibi, as an excuse. It's just fact.
That access to the information, yeah, is a huge thing. And like you said, man, with that mindset of like, man, I want to do big things. What would you have done like with that mindset and the education behind it? And just for everybody, if you are in a position where you're like, man, I have no clue what to do, kind of like struggling or whatever, I do have a Facebook page, a group page is private, where if you've got questions you can ask. So shameless plug there, because I mean
No,
there needs
you're
to
right. I
be.
mean, I agree. And I'm on there too as well. So if
Yeah,
anybody has any questions, take advantage of it. I don't think
yeah,
with the way it is and the free information that you're giving out, that we are giving out, we should have a whole lot more questions than we do.
yeah,
Don't be afraid to ask. I mean,
yeah,
we're not going to call you out and say it's stupid, because if you don't know, and I will say this about the information, Chris. I think sometimes there's too much information, because you can
hmm,
do, say, weight loss fitness plan. Dude, you'll get like a million, hits. So it is hard to weed through the BS, because, anybody can post an article to Google, unfortunately. And a lot of it is bad information. So you try to, and if you absolutely don't know what you're doing, I'm sure it can be overwhelming trying to weed through the BS and what's actual fact. And that's what
yeah,
we're here for. I mean, we don't know
yeah,
everything, and I'm not your typical person. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, but let me find out for you. And
yeah,
Chris is the same way. We're not going to give you bad information. So if you
yeah.
have questions, by all means, it's free. We don't get a dime for it. Reach out and we'll do our best to help you.
It's interesting that you brought that up because I was about to ask, okay, so what is something that people should look for when they're asking that information? But I think what you said in terms of being able to admit, hey, if I don't know, I will just tell you I don't know and go research it. I think that is probably one of the most valuable traits in looking for somebody to learn from is that kind of transparency where they acknowledge, hey, I don't know everything regardless of how much experience you've got 25 years in the game and you're still saying like, hey, if I don't know, I will go look it up and figure out, and I'm okay with my pride will not get in the way of me doing that. I think that's a powerful statement, and probably one of those bullet points most people should be more aware of. I want to do a part, just kind of shed light on, an exercise or, one or two exercises, and we just kind of talk about it. So I want your opinion, pick an exercise that you feel like it should be a basis of most people's daily life or, routine. And so we're going to talk about like what is good for it and then what kind of alternatives are available if they don't have access to it.
I thought long and hard on this one, because it's hard to narrow down just one exercise to do. But after thinking about it and giving it some thought, I came up some type of squat or lunge. And the
Yeah.
reason I came up with that is because we literally do squat and lunge every day of our life if we walk. Getting out of the car, getting up off the toilet, getting them off the couch. Uh, and it's just so important to keep your glutes not and active, because a lot of times, I think lower back pain, don't know how much percentage of Americans have lower back pain, but a large portion of the time, from what I understand, back pain has nothing to do with your back. A lot of times it's your tight hamstrings and your tight glutes.
But what you were saying as far as like the squats and lunges to kind of help with keeping the glutes and the glutes active and helping to reduce that back pain is massive. Uh, man, this had to have been I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago. I went into I was still active duty, and I went to our physical therapist there, and complained about back pain, and she went to my hamstrings to check tightness there, and she was like, "Yeah, your range of motion is garbage, dude." And I was like, "Yeah," I said, "My back though." And she's like, "No, no." She ended up doing dry needling on my hamstrings. Um,
Yeah.
at that point, I'd had that done to like my lower back and my shoulder. I'd been used to kind of the awkwardness of it. She put that first needle into my hamstring. I called her everything but a child of God. But as soon as she was done, immediate relief. Hamstrings, I have a lot. It was a noticeable improvement in range of motion, but I also noticed that the tightness in my lower back was gone. And it just shows like the body's a system. It's not compartmentalized. You can't say, "Oh, I have back pain, so it must be my lower back." Your body is a chain, a system of muscles that work together, and your lower back can be hurting because of some other things that's going on. And so I would agree, because the exercise I was going to pick, I was like, man, I really want to say lunges, but I feel like I should be saying something else. But lunges, I think it is just so important, especially for just everyday lifestyle, because that ability to be on one foot and still activate your lower body and do it and control that movement is important, because there's times you bend over to tie your shoe and you got that one foot out, one foot's behind you. Having that ability to stabilize is important. And while you get a lot of lower body strength from your squats and deadlifts, some of that stability component is lost. And that's why I was like, man, I think I want to say lunges. So when you said squats or lunges, I was like, okay, cool. So yeah, I agree with that.
Just some notes
Um,
I made, like some of the benefits that I feel from it. Just like we talked about, building the glute strength, keeping your hamstrings flexible, stabilizes your knees, helps with core strength, and like I was saying, it just pretty much assists in everyday activities. And one thing that you probably hadn't thought about, the benefit of squats too, if you do them in the right fashion, it can also elicit a very good cardio effect as well. Because I know you've
oh
done
yeah,
squats, and whether back squats, there's a variety of them. Like I said, I know my heart rate gets up pretty high when doing squats, so you could actually help with it, improve your cardio as
yeah,
well.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, if you do them right, you need to sit down and take a breath and kind of think about life decisions at that point.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, how did I get here? I'm now sitting on the floor at this gym. I don't know whose shoes have been down here, and I don't care. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just it the mental fortitude that you have to build in order to get through a legitimate set of squats it's high. If you do it right, you have to sit there and be like, no, 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 I'm supposed to do 12. I'm only at 8. I'm going to keep going. Like, I'm not about to wuss out. It's not that I don't have it in me. It's I just don't want to do it.
I don't want
But
it.
if
It's
you again,
hard.
if
It hurts. Yeah. I
yeah,
agree. I
yeah,
agree. And the
definitely,
good thing about
definitely.
squats is, that's one of your questions you brought up, is like, what are the varieties of them? And I'm gonna refer to my notes because I don't want to miss anything. But there's a squat for just about anybody. I mean, there are some populations obviously that can't do any type of squat. But I
Hmm.
wrote down back squats. Your traditional load up the Olympic bar with weights, which is a lot of strength and conditioning coaches are probably going to cringe when they hear me say this, but back squats are not my favorite. And the reason being they're not my favorite is because it's such a technical exercise. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can easily hurt yourself. It's a
Absolutely.
movement pattern that needs to be established. Just like anything else, you need to be coached through it, and you need to have the proper mechanics before you even attempt a back squat. And I see so many people screw them up. We won't get into it in this video, but there's so many ways to screw them up. And the problem is, if you don't have that movement pattern down, it's just muscle memory. What happens when you're doing just air squats is you get tired, your form deteriorates. So putting a bunch of weight on your back and trying to maintain proper form as you get fatigued, there's not a whole lot of people that can do it. There's a lot of people that think they could do it properly, but trust me, when you have a trained eye and I see people doing it, I don't say anything, and I'm like, yeah, you're not doing those so right. And I'm always, when I don't do them anymore because of my back, but when I did, I was constantly checking my form, because that's one of the lifts that you can really screw yourself up if you don't do them right. And there's so many other varieties that you can choose that don't. My favorite is the goblet squat, and that's where you hold the weight in front of you. And I've seen people that couldn't do an air squat properly. You give them the dumbbell in their hand and kind of cue them what to do, and immediately it cleans up their form. It's amazing to me. So that was always my go-to with my clients is the goblet squat. You got this, and then for people that really have issues with the range of motion and all, I would use a physio ball up against the wall, press their back into it, and use the ball like to guide them up and down with. So there's so many varieties, but in my opinion, if your health will allow you to do it, everybody should be doing some form of squatting. And lunges, I mean,
completely agree.
Lunges go right in hand. There's a different variety of lunges. I mean, you have your traditional just step forward, step back lunge. You have your walking lunges. And it just engages so much of your hamstrings and so much of your glutes and all. Like I said, that's just one of the best exercises, in my opinion, that you can do.
I agree. Like you said, it's so versatile. And I prescribe to the same thought of the back squat. It's an important lift, but it doesn't mean it's important for everybody. Your goals will dictate should you be doing back squats. And some people in the bodybuilding career, like you said, are going to be like, "Whoa, my God, blasphemy!" But really, let's think about it. Some people should not be doing back squats. They might get a lot better stimulus from doing a front squat, or maybe the bikini and wellness industry, doing their goblet squats, or using a physio ball. Like, where you are at in your life will dictate kind of what you need to, which type of squat you should be doing. But squat in general should be present in your weekly
Well, and not
regimen,
everybody can. I'm sure you experienced it too, because I've been a few clients I was trying to teach the back squat because they had the mechanics down, but for some reason or another, like they might have like limited ankle mobility or tight. They're tight in their calves, they're tight in their hamstrings, and it doesn't allow them to get a full range of motion. They can get to a certain point with proper form, but beyond that, because of their limited flexibility or joint mobility, they just absolutely can't do it. And no matter how much you try, they're just not going to get the movement down like this too. So just find a different variation for them.
Yeah. No, I again agree. And I think it's important to understand that the best plan that you can have is the one that you're going to be able to sustain and adhere to. And some of that sustainment and adherence involves what are you capable of doing. You can't just say do squats. If the person is limited in their knee stability, you probably shouldn't have them doing a barbell squat. Help them build that knee stability, and then let's progress, maybe, if that's what it calls for. But different strokes for different folks. Because I had, when I was doing a lot of in person, I had this young guy. He came in, hey, I want to get stronger and lose weight, the typical stuff. And so I put him through an assessment, and we did a forward lunge, and he would get to a point where, as he started going down, just fall over like one way. There was no stability, there was no spatial awareness. And I remember saying, like, no, just you stay on your feet, man. But he'd go down and just be like,
Fall over, right?
Yeah. And so for him, man, if I gave him barbell back squat, he might still be in the hospital. And this was years ago, on when Temple was still on 90. That would not
that's
work for him.
why when just somebody, I mean, I might know them from the gym, or a coworker or something will come to me and say, hey, can you do a weightlifting program for me? Can you write me out a program? My response is no. And they're like, well, you're just an asshole. No, I'm not being an asshole. I don't know you. I've never seen you work out. I've never trained with you. I don't know what your strengths and weaknesses are. So, like you just said, I prescribe an exercise to you. Number one, you don't know how to do it. I've never seen you do it, and you're doing it all jacked up, and then you end up hurting yourself, and you're mad at me, and you give up on your exercise program because the exercise hurts you. And it hurts you because I gave you the wrong exercise. Dude, that exercise was not for you. And unless I do an assessment on you, have worked with you before, I have no way of knowing that. So just asking, just a general person, hey, am I capable of giving you a program? Yeah, I could give you a good program, but it's not for you. And that's what I'm saying. Just don't guess what. But wait, if you rewind to earlier, I was saying, don't go to the gym and try to mimic what somebody else is doing, because that exercise may not be for you. They may be well more advanced than you are. So, that's not for you. Find out, that's the reason I suggest, if your budget allows it, find you a good personal trainer in the beginning and work with them and let them teach you some stuff for 6 months to a year. And then if you think you're ready to move on your own, then move on your own. You don't have to stay with that trainer forever, but for God's sakes, learn the basics before, you go out and end up hurting yourself.
Oh yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Um, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up, man. I appreciate the time, the information, the chat. Always good conversation with you, even on a just kicking it at the gym or whatever. So again, thank you for this. Like you said, he's one of my admins in the group. I trust him with the information that he has, because again, he's going to give reliable information. I've known him here for some odd years, and there's been clients I'm like, yo, like I need a sanity check, and you're one of the people that I'm willing to go to for that sanity check. So, I always appreciate the information you have, man.
Good deal, Chris. Appreciate you having me. I had a good time, and anytime, brothers, let me know, and there's a lot of other subjects we can talk about.
All right, hey, appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Talk to you later, bro.
All right, cool.
All right.